What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. We have a great show for you today. Stick with us. We're going to be talking about all these fights. Before we do that, where do all fights start? Round one. We're going to be talking about the Naoya Inoue and Sam Goodman fight coming up. I think it's a very big fight. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's an early morning fight, but we're going to talk about it because we like talking about some of the best fighters here on this channel. We're also going to talk about Teofimo Lopez and what it's looking like for him and Arnold Barboza, Jack Catterall. There's just a lot to talk about in the sport of boxing. So please stay with me as we unfold and get and peel through all these layers of what's really going on here in boxing. So stick with us. Oh, so fight fans, let me get established here. Why is that my title? You see? No, this is not good. This is not working for me. This is not working out. Something's wrong. I think when they I resetted everything, it just messed everything up because now it's not even typing my titles. The other one came up. Let's see here. All right, let's just save that and we'll fix it when that's everything. Now, hopefully, the title to this has changed. See up here, it says a different title than when I checked it out on my live stream. And but yeah, hopefully, I fixed it right there. Some of these things we have to work out. All right, let's get this chat going right here. All right, so uh we have a lot of good fights coming up, by the way, too. Which we're gonna talk about too. We could talk about these fights too. We got Emmanuel Navarrete, Oscar Valdez. They're shooting it back. I believe the best fight on that card. I kind of think that fight's gonna be the same. If you to be honest, right? But the fight to have is Espinoza versus Robeisio Ramirez, and I like that fight on that card in many many ways. Um, I just see so many different outcomes that, you know, now we can talk about it. Hey, what's up? You're grateful that I brought up Naoya Inoue? Oh no, he's my dude, bro. We give him a lot of love here at this channel. If you don't know about it, I try to talk about all the best fighters in the world, and Naoya Inoue is probably the best fighter of our generation. A lot of people just don't want to give him that credit. But here at Route One Sports Talk, we don't hide behind it and we don't sugarcoat it. We tell it like it is. And although I support all American fighters, this Japanese guy is something else. And I love the sweet science. I love boxing, period. Real fighters. Doesn't matter where you're from or what your name is or what color you are. If you can fight and you're the best, then you're the best. They could hide behind the fact that Naoya Inoue is a lightweight, that he did all his things in the lower weight divisions, but it doesn't matter because Naoya Inoue is really doing Michael Jordan, Tom Brady shit, where Not a lot of people were watching the lower weight divisions, only real hardcore fans or fans of that fighter. When Naoya Inoue was bringing all these eyes to these lower weight division, it was due in part to what he was doing, knocking people the hell out. And the way he was doing it, that everybody started to notice, wait a minute, who's this guy coming up? So Naoya Inoue definitely brought eyes to the lower weight division. And if you ask me, he's opening doors and bringing more money to these guys in the lower weight division when he's breaking records for bantamweight fighters. They've never received that kind of money Naoya Inoue is getting, let alone have Turkey Al-Sheikh pay you so many $1 million to wear his t-shirt. That's how powerful Naoya Inoue made himself. And we're going to talk about this fight. Look, yeah, what's up, guys? I'm at work, but what's up, Road Rage? How you doing, brother? How you doing, Bam Bam? In the building. Yeah, look. So when we're talking about a great fighter, and some of the best, rather than talking about these guys that are constantly ducking each other, and everybody has an excuse. And you guys saw how David Morrell and David the Monster Benavidez just put the fight together like that. It goes to show you that it's mostly the fighters who pick their fights. The managers, the promoters, they give them a list of names, and it's basically up to the fighter to take the fight. You got William Cepeda right now, right? And as quiet as kept. Everybody's talking about him ducking Shakur and everything else, but I don't think nobody's talking about the elephant in the room. And what I said on a few of my episodes past. Watch right before your eyes. I shit you not. Keyshawn Davis is about to fight for that WBO world title. He's going to jump right over William Cepeda, which is the number one contender. He's the number one across the board and doesn't fight any champions. I can't call William anything, bro. If it's a spade, if it's a spade, it's a spade. Yo, dude, come on, man. You got an excuse for everything. Every single time I try to back up William Cepeda, bro, he's having a baby. He broke his hand. He has hemorrhoid surgery on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? His next door neighbor took a shit. I don't know. He's always got an excuse, William Cepeda. I can no longer just sit here and be like, damn, man, William. Like, dude, right? So when I talk about fighters like Naoya Inoue that don't duck smoke, that takes all the smoke, fighting all the best fighters in his division, at least what they have to offer. Whether you know these guys' names or not, you have to admit, if you don't know it, then look it up. Every fighter he's been fighting, Naoya Inoue, have been all the top guys. The only place I can honestly say where that he didn't really fight the best guys or clean out the division was the 115. Or like we can say the 108. But he only had 2-3 fights in the 108. He quickly moved up. Then he jumped 2 divisions to get to 115. He had 7 consecutive title defenses at 115. He went on a title run at 115. It's quite as kept. Now they were talking about back then Chocolito and all these other dudes, and they were saying that Naoya Inoue was ducking them. Brother, he had a different vision. Naoya Inoue, just like many fighters, don't have to please every single fighter that calls them out. Because some of those call outs are guys trying to get a free ride to the top, using you and your name to get there. In some situations, the guy that you're calling out his name, the champion, he's too far ahead of you. You see? So Naoya Inoue is really in a place where that the Naoya Inoue freight train is going by. Bro, you better be lucky if you hop on board. And I believe that the only way he's in a trajectory, he's gone too far. Maybe if you caught him while he was making that rise, like fighters like Casamara, but Casamara, once again, another guy running his mouth, talking, trying to pull on Superman's cape to see if he can get a free ride to the top with Naoya Inoue's up here. Casamara is beltless down here. Naoya Inoue is a king. He has all 4 belts sitting on the throne. There is no other champion at 122. He is the king. So when these guys are trying to act like, oh, I want the smoke, I want this, that. For example, Teofimo Lopez. Now they're making Arnold Barboza to fight Jack Hatter. It's not official. I understand that. I don't know if Arnold's going to go along with it or if he should. How many times are you going to make this guy jump to rings of fire? What more does he have to do? How many title eliminators? What do you want him? Just Tio. What's going on, Tio? Right? Then we saw Tio right before he fought Sandor Martin when he denied Arnold Barboza fight. He said Arnold Barboza's a boring fighter, this and that. He made every excuse in the book just not to fight the man. Now, I can say that if we're sitting here, right, saying that, Sandor Martin and what's his name there, Polanco, right, was going to fight for the WBC, and then rumors that you've seen how the WBC did it, right? They put on the Russell brother, Gary Russell, right, and to be the next guy to fight them, to put pressure on Devin Haney, right? So at the time, because they were trying to strip him, he was like a champion in recess during this time. But here it goes again with Tio, bro. Tio, whenever he wants to avoid somebody, he just says that he's a bum, that he's not worthy, that he's not on my level. Tio, just because you're saying that doesn't mean that that's true. This man was more than ready back then, and he's ready now. Tio, what are you doing? He's on videos over here with Eddie Espinoza, Renault. I'm tongue-tied here a little bit. Saul Canelo Alvarez is coach, right? Eddie. So he's over here in training, which I find it good. I find it very good, but still, come on, my dude, you got to fight. So when we're talking about some of the biggest fighters, that's why I talk about Naoya Inoue. That's exactly why I talk about this man, bro. Because honestly, real talk, honestly, the man don't duck no smoke, bro. The man fights nothing but the top level competition and nothing but world champions. He's fought already 13 world champions, 14 now, right? So he's on a 22 consecutive world title defense or fighting for a title fight. That means 22 consecutive fights, his last 22 fights, right? Out of his entire record, right? What is he? He's 28 right now. 28 and what? What is he right now? He's 28 and 25. Jesus Christ. He didn't knock out 3 people. Sometimes I have to look back at his record and I'm just like, I see why I talk about him. You know what I mean? I see exactly why. But I got to tell you guys, right, that this is going to be a pretty good fight against Sam Goodman. The more I look at the fight, you got to accept the challenge. Look, I don't see in a great world where he beats him. No, I don't. I got Naoya Inoue in the fight, right? Okay. But we can't ignore Sam Goodman as a fighter at all. What's going on right here? I want to read your comment here. Many people in Japan are looking forward to the Benavidez and Mora fight next year. I'm looking forward to this fight. Yes, this is a big fight right here. This is one of the best fighters we have of our generation. And if you love boxing, the sweet science, or if you like the violent nature of a knockout, Naoya Inoue and Sam Goodman, I promise you, they're going to bring that fire. Listen, any fight that you watch Naoya Inoue in, I guarantee you're going to get that, oh shit, oh wow moment. You're gonna be sitting in your chair. You're gonna be like, oh shit, oh wow, like you know what I'm saying? Because that's what kind of fighter he is. He brings you out your seat. Okay, and his last performances, right, moving up into the division and really acclimating into the division. We're gonna get into that in a second, but I want to break down why I believe that Sam Goodman just might give him a better fight than what we're thinking. I still got Naoya Inoue in the fight, and I got him by knockout. But let's give his opponent his flowers too, because we don't shit on all fighters just because we think that he's outgunned. No, we don't do that here. We give fighters all their credit. So look, guys, this is what I'm talking about. All right, let's go. Let's do this. No. Okay. Here we go. That's the man right there. Right? This damn thing up here, man. See? All right, hold on. Let me see if I can do this. All right, I'm going to minus that, minus that, minus that. Okay. We'll clear that. Get that out of the way. Okay, but now I want to just blow it up a little bit more for that way you guys can see it with me. I don't need you, you know. Okay, this is Sam Goodman, right? He's 19-8, right? Okay, he's 26 years old. He's 5'6" and a half, not that much taller than Naoya Inoue, which comes in at 5'5", right? He has 19 bouts. He has gone 137 rounds. 137 rounds, right? He has experience. He has a 42% knockout ratio. You see right there, it says 42% knockout ratio. Okay, now right under here is where he started his career. He started his career in 2018 to current present date 2024. It's pretty good. Since the time he started his career, right? You have to admit, Sam Goodman has maintained to be unbeaten. He's undefeated. So as far as one of Australia's fighters, he's one of Australia's best fighters right now. You know, he's not probably the most popular out there or the most well known out there, but he's working on that. And he's representing Australia coming up in this match versus Japan. Now, I want you to keep in mind in this, and I want you to study this real close. There's nothing better, to me anyway, than an active fighter. Okay? An active fighter. As you can see right here, Naoya Inoue is scheduled to fight him on December 24. Sorry about that, the pop-ups. You know how that is, right? December 24th. But I want you to pay attention to this. That in 2024, he's already fought 2 times. He's already fought 2 times. He knocked one guy out, TKO, and he went unanimous decision with the other guy. Now, yes, none of these guys are Naoya Inoue. I get it. Activity, though. Let's talk about activity, and that's what I'm talking about here. Pay attention to his fight in 2023. So what were you doing leading into 2024? How active of a fighter were you, right? Okay, this is what I mean. In 2023, he fought 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times he fought in 2023. He's coming up on his 3rd fight in 2024. So this man's activity is what really, I'm like, okay. Because you know we get these fights from these guys, and they're coming off a 10-month layoff, a year layoff. You know, he hasn't fought. See, Sam Goodman's approach, you know, even though when I was watching him, I was calling him a duck, right? I was saying to myself, bro, there's no way that, you know, you go and you jump in the ring in Tokyo, Japan, and all of a sudden, you challenge the champion right in his face. Yo, Naoya Inoue, I want to fight you. Either drop those both belts, vacate the titles, or fight me. Then you go fight what they call another tune-up fight. And it looked like a duck move. It looked like we were never going to get this fight with Sam Goodman and Naoya Inoue. It didn't look like that. Then Sam Goodman was like, I'm not getting out of, not missing my turn. Act Medalia's team try to come in, MJ with his promoter, and they try to slide in and get the Naoya Inoue sweepstakes fight, right? So, all that got cleared. All that got cleared, and then Sam Goodman took the fight. And once I saw that he was serious and he took the fight, I was saying to myself, okay, let's think about what he tried to do. He wants to be active. Naoya Inoue, they have a common in foe. He fought TJ Doheny, his last fighter, Naoya Inoue, right? In which Sam Goodman fought TJ Doheny. But when Sam Goodman fought him, he went 12 rounds with him. When Naoya Inoue fought him, he stopped TJ Doheny. We all seen how that happened. I guess he almost broke his back, right? He hit him and threw his back out. It was crazy, right? So when we're looking at it that way, I'm saying to myself, okay, Sam Goodman, he's a very active fighter. He's been in a lot of fights. He hasn't taken a lot of time off. And another thing I want you to notice here too, when you're looking at his record right here, right? I want you to pay attention to this. When he was fighting in 2023, if you look at the dates carefully, right? Okay, like right here, for instance, he fought 2023, right? 10-15, right? Okay. And his next fight was 12-15, December 15th, exactly 2 months later. From 10-15 to 12-15 is exactly 2 months. So he was hopping the ring fast. I like that activity. That's how he managed to fight 4 times in December in 2023. You see, because I like that at least, because when you're in the game doesn't speed up for you. Meaning, when if you're active baseball player, you're gonna see the ball coming at the speed you're gonna be used to it. But if you're coming off a layoff, that ball's gonna seem like a lot faster than you remembered until you get adjusted to it. When that's with every sport. And that's what I mean. And when we talk about fighters that have ring rust and things like that coming off massive layoffs, we get a false impression of what we're gonna get as that fighter when he comes back. What are we gonna get from Errol Spence Jr. if he ever decides to come back? What version of him is he gonna come back to? I have no idea. And that's what I speak of. Inactivity. Jermell Charlo wants to come back. He wants to get back on the. What version of him are we gonna get? I know what kind of boxers and men they used to be, but just because his name is Jermell Charlo and his name is Errol the True Spencer doesn't mean I can judge you off the men that you once were. Do you understand? Ring rust and boxing, you got to stay active. That's why I like Sam Goodman. That's why I have to admit that at least he's putting himself in the best situation, the best place to fight a champion such as Naoya Inoue. And I could see where him and his team thought, one more fight, before we go out there. You're possibly going to be fighting against the best fighter in our generation or all time when it's all said and done with Naoya Inoue. His career's not over. So he can even add to what he's already have a Hall of Fame career. He has about 2.5, almost 3 Hall of Fame careers in one career already. Naoya Inoue. You could split those 2 division title runs with all 4 belts. And if you were 2 individual guys, you'd both be going to the Hall of Fame for that shit. So he has an impressive record. As a matter of fact, Naoya Inoue, why don't we look into him and see what Sam Goodman's opponent is up to? This is Naoya Inoue right here. Okay, there's the man right there. Woo-hoo! Listen, he's 28 and 25. Look, guys, ah, here he is. He is number one across the board, worldwide out of 1,381 registered bantamweight fighters, super bantamweight fighters in the world. He is number one. For Japan, there are 167 registered fighters in that weight division. He is number one currently. So Naoya Inoue is 31 years old. He was born in Japan. He's an orthodox boxer, 5'5". He comes to us with an 89%. What the box record never. I swear they be hating on this dude, bro. Yo, he's been like on 80, not for nothing, bro, right? But he's been on 89 his last three knockouts. I gotta admit, they haven't raised this. I think they raised it like from 89.20. It was like 89.28. It went to 89.29. They didn't even just give him 90. I swear to goodness, bro, they be hating on this dude, bro. With only 3 fighters, he didn't knock out the percentage. Wise? I know fighters that got a higher percentage, which look, man, I don't understand sometimes, bro. But anyway, he currently has all 4 belts, but as we know, if you're not familiar, BoxRec doesn't acknowledge the WBA. They seem to have a feud between the WBA organization and BoxRec. I don't know what's going on there, but I see that, yeah, they're not acknowledging the WBA. So when you're looking at this and you're a little confused, if you're up to speed, you know what's going on. But the WBA world title should be right here. Should be right here. He should have a belt right here. It should say WBA World Super Bantamweight Champion right there. He should have 4 belts here. Okay? Just in case of confusion. Now, Naoya Inoue, okay, yeah. Naoya Inoue started his career in 2012. He started his career at 19 years old, right? He had a pretty impressive amateur career. He had like 75 fights, 48 knockouts as an amateur, I believe that was. So he had a pretty good amateur career. He never medaled, never went to see, some fighters get a good start to their career. They go to the Olympics, represent their country, get a gold medal, and you get a good start. You know, people that got gold medals like Oscar De La Hoya and etc., they get a quick start to their career like Loma, right? Okay. He never got a gold medal. And I think that that's important because when we talk about Naoya Inoue, you got to really remind yourself, right? He didn't have a big boxing promoter when he first came into the game. He had the guy from Japan. He was big out there. That guy was big out there. And from what I'm hearing, that guy's real smart. He takes care of a lot of the fighters out there. So Naoya Inoue really got it out the mud. One of the first things he did before he put ink to that paper, right? He told his promoter, I don't want any tune-up fights. I just want to fight the best. I want to contend for a world title as fast as possible. As fast as possible. He had already contended for the Oriental Pacific World Championship out there to prove who's the best Oriental fighter. He fought that guy like in his 4th fight. He was already cleaning out the best fighters over there. He fought a lot of Filipino guys and Japan guys early in his career. But by 6 professional fights, he had already become a world champion. He was truly, he was really on some record pace. And let me show you, right? As you can see right here. Okay, wait a minute. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the these are not like world titles. These are like small belts to prove if your fighter can win at least those belts before you put them in against a world championship. And these are the kind of belts, you know what I'm saying, that like the Japanese light flyweight title right here. You see, it's not a real championship. The Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation light flyweight title. That's not a like. I understand that, but it's a good accomplishment, right? This is where shit got real. And from this moment on, I want you to pay attention to, you know, what I consider the elephant in the room, what none of these other channels want to give him credit for. They don't want to, because if they give him credit for this shit and they really break down his record, it's going to destroy their favorite fighter's record. Naoya Inoue is soon becoming your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. Mark my words. He's explosive. Check it out, right? Adrian Hernandez came into his fight 29-2-1, right? He was the WBC flyweight champion, right? Okay. The amazing thing is that Adrian Hernandez came into that fight never being knocked down. He was the champion for 4 years in that weight division. Here, now think about the situation. Here comes a kid, 19 years old, right? 5'5", and he only has 5 professional fights. Coming into that match, he had 5 fights. They tap you on the shoulder as an established champion by this point. Adrian Hernandez was fighting for over 10 years, ain't never been knocked out, right? He's been the champion for 4 years. They tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, this Japanese guy with only 5 professional fights, 19 years old, wants to fight you. Huh? What'd you say he was? 19 years old. He only has 5 fights? I'll take the fight. I'll take the fight. What happened to Adrian Hernandez? Adrian Hernandez got whooped. And when I tell you he got whooped, he didn't win a single round for 6 rounds. Naoya Inoue destroyed him, right? He obtained his first world championship. I would like you to pay attention to this really close. And this, listen, because this is some cartoon shit. This is what you do in a video game, right? Pay attention to this. This is Adrian Hernandez right here. He has 1 fight, right? This dude is off the hook. He jumps up from 108, right, to 115 against Omar Narvaez, right? He fought Omar Narvaez at 115 pounds. He jumped up 2 weight divisions from 108. He skipped by the 112, went right to the 115. That's 2 weight divisions, okay? That's basically what you would be asking Terrence Crawford to do to Saul Canelo Alvarez. But yet they're saying that Terrence Crawford is too small for him. It's the same situation. That guy, Omar Narvaez, would have been too big for Naoya Inoue. So coming into the fight, they told him, once again, fight this Japanese guy that only has 7 professional fights. 7 professional fights. He's 20 years old by this time. Omar Narvaez was he was by this point in his career, he fought Hall of Fame legend Nonito Donaire. And Nonito Donaire is the only man to beat Omar with a record of 43-1, right? Oh, was it? Yeah, it was Omar Narvaez that he fought. Yeah. He had 43 fights. Yo, listen, guys. He went the distance with Nonito Donaire. And Nonito Donaire could not knock this guy out. Omar Narvaez has never been put down in his entire 43 professional fights, coming into the fight against Naoya Inoue that only had 7 fights and was 20 years of age. He didn't have the boxing experience this man had. This man had been in the ring with all of them. And by the way, Omar Narvaez had reign in that division at 115 for over 4 years with that belt. What happened in that fight? Naoya Inoue came into that fight, a 20-year-old kid against a guy, a seasoned vet with 43 fights, and he put him away in 2 rounds. 2 rounds. Listen, look at guys, pay attention. This is his 8th professional fight. He already has 2 divisions. He won a belt at 108 and he won a belt at 115 with only 8 professional fights. That's unheard of. Who has ever in boxing history done some shit like that? I'll wait, right? Listen, Then he goes on, uh, um, one, one, two, three, four, five, six. That was his last fight, and then he moved up to Jamie McDonald. So he defended the title 7 times, right? He comes into the fight against Jamie McDonald. Jamie McDonald was a European champion. He'd been a professional. The last time he was knocked down was like 10 years ago. He was knocked down in a fight, but he was never knocked out or finished in any fight. Jamie McDonald also reigned supreme at the 118-pound weight division. Naoya Inoue decided to move up in weight from 115 to the 118. He went up there and they asked Jamie McDonald what he thought about his opponent. At the time, he didn't even acknowledge Naoya Inoue as a worthy opponent. He kind of thought this was a joke, so to speak, that this guy is just going to come up 5'5". He's just going to come up and beat me, right? For instance, let's look up McDonald, right? If you were to look him up, this is what he looks like, and this is who he is. Listen, he has boxing experience. He is 5'9.5", almost 5'10". His arm reach is 71 inches, right? Okay, coming into that Naoya Inoue fight, which is probably down here. All these damn ads all the time. Let's see. Let's go all the way down. Where was the fight at? His fight was probably right here. Oh shoot, Naoya Inoue basically retired him. No, he fought some bum and he won a fight. He went all the way down to a 6-round fight in order to get a win. That way he could end his career on a win note. And he fought a guy coming off a 6-fight losing streak. Notice that all these red dots, this guy's coming off of 6-fight losing streak. His next fight, he made him fight a 6-round fight after fighting Naoya Inoue in a 12-round fight. And all your fights previous to that, you were a 12-round fighter. You were a world champion. All 12 rounds. Look, in order to end his career on what he would consider a high note or a winning note, Naoya Inoue beat the crap out of him in 1 round, right? And made the man go down to a 6-round fight in order to retire well. That's the end of his career. Look at it. Pay attention. Look. So, back to Naoya Inoue. My man, listen, he's really remarkable, guys. I'm trying to tell you that if you would like to follow a fighter or keep an eye on a fighter, this is a fight that you would like to wake up early in the morning. We're already up drinking our coffee, right? Why why not tune in and have boxing? Watch a little morning boxing with breakfast. Like I say, coffee and boxing, here at Round One Sports Talk, and uh so Naoya Inoue beats him. Where were we? Where were we with him? Oh, we were at Jamie McDonald right here. Now, um, at this point in time right here, this is when stuff got serious for the Japanese superstar. This is where I can honestly say the world started paying attention. This is when Top Rank started paying attention and they signed him. He came into the World Series of Boxing, right? He fought Carlos Payano, you can see here. He fought Emmanuel Rodriguez, which is his next fight, and Jonito Donaire to end the tournament. Those were the fighters. There were a lot of good fighters in this tournament, you know. And there was a lot of fighters knocked off. I believe Paul Butler and them were in it. Like fighters like Maloney, right? Maloney, I believe Emmanuel Rodriguez beat Maloney in the second final round. They have one, and then the second round, the finals, and then the championship final, in the World Series of Boxing for the Covenant Muhammad Ali Trophy. And by the way, that was the first Covenant Muhammad Ali Trophy, and Naoya Inoue was the man that won it. So he has the first one, which is pretty freaking good, So, yeah, that's a good trophy to have. Yo, baby, you know what I mean? You have the original, so that's pretty good. So I believe that this is really where he made his mark. When um in the World Series of Boxing, he dispersed the Payano in 70 seconds with a brutal knockout. He hit him with a straight right that laid him flat on his back. Right, Emmanuel Rodriguez. There was some drama coming into that fight. Well, Emmanuel Rodriguez's coach and team try that. They're from like New York. They try like that New York bully mentality tactic on Naoya Inoue's father and kid brother that were filming Emmanuel Rodriguez. The day prior to that, Emmanuel Rodriguez's team was let in to watch Naoya Inoue, and they were allowed to take pictures and film with no problem. The very next day, Naoya Inoue's team went to go watch him. The same thing. And they were asked to turn off their cameras, to not to take pictures of Emmanuel Rodriguez. And Naoya Inoue's father, Shingo, was like, "What do you mean? We let you guys. Okay, fine. You don't want me to tape him? Fine, fine, fine." And he like tried to like bully him. He like tried like to look down at him, and Naoya Inoue's father was like, "Yo, yo, yo, I don't want no problems. Cool, I'm cool, I'm cool." His kid brother was right there. Tacoma was right there, right next to him, right? And this got back to Naoya Inoue. Mental note, mental note. Never ever mess around with Naoya Inoue's father. Don't do that. It's not going to be good for you, right? I thought Emmanuel Rodriguez, if anybody was going to fight Naoya Inoue in that tournament at that time, I'm judging him on that time. You got to understand, Emmanuel Rodriguez came into that fight 19-0. He was the IBF champion of the world. He was undefeated. When you're fighting a fighter that's undefeated, that doesn't know how to lose, you got to break his spirit, kind of. You got to teach him. You got to introduce him to something no other man has introduced him to, and that is losing. Never mind losing. How about Emmanuel Rodriguez has never been knocked down in his boxing career? So this is a tough Puerto Rican fighter, okay? Full of confidence. He's a world champion. He came into that fight a world champion. He had the IBF, right? So Emmanuel Rodriguez was riding on a high. In order to stop him the way he did, I want you to remember this, that later, Emmanuel Rodriguez fought the Russell brother, right? Gary Antoine Russell, the other Russell, right? He fought him not once, but twice. The first one, it was disqualified, the headbutt, and the second one kind of went the same way, right? But the fight had went a lot further, and we saw what we needed to see in the second fight. Emmanuel Rodriguez was just better. He was just better. It was a better dog. But Naoya Inoue on that night, he was so, like, it seemed like hyper focused. He made these moves in the ring that were so smart and intelligent that I keep learning from the moves he made on that night with Emmanuel Rodriguez. I keep learning little things, subtle things in the ring. I thought he outpunched him. I thought he would just beat him speed for speed, and his power was too much. When I first saw the fight, that's how I thought he beat him. Now that I look back at the fight and I've watched it several times, that I realize it was much more than that. Yo, his foot placement in there, his positioning, his timing, the way he shot that off his left with like a cannon, and then shuffled to be in position to duck his punch right at the right time and come over and knock him down for the first time in his career. When he attacked Emmanuel Rodriguez the second time, those two body shots underneath, to know precisely where to hit him. Now, mind you, he wasn't hurt by a body shot when he went down for the first time. That was a face shot. He didn't hit him to the body. Yo, and then to have the skill, the ring smarts not to go head hunting. When a fighter knocks an opponent down and you punch him in the face, typically They're going for the face again, trying to get him out of there. For him to, in that moment, all the, the pressure's on you. This guy did this to your father. You know about everything. And to stay so calm, cool, and he took what Emmanuel gave him. Emmanuel was, I'm blocking up top, watching these. Naoya Inoue went like this, fake up top, boom, boom, 2 body shots. Ruined them. Yo, that was impressive. Because I automatically thought he was going to try to punch him in the face or, try to go with an uppercut to the chin. But definitely upper shots. That's what I was thinking for him. And when he did all these things, at the time I didn't acknowledge it because I didn't break it down really, right? I was excited from what he did, the way he did it, but I was also a little disappointed that he beat my Puerto Rican star, Emmanuel Rodriguez. So I think, I was a little biased too because I'm gonna tell you the truth. I didn't go against Emmanuel Rodriguez, but that's probably the last time I ever went against Naoya Inoue. From that fight on, possibly, I guess, I can pretty much say that I won't bet against them. Hell no. Hell no, I won't bet against this dude. You don't get the nickname, the monster in boxing, and for nothing. He didn't name himself the monster. The people named him the monster. It's not like some people got to self-proclaim themselves and then Nike got to back you up. LeBron, he's the king. No, you call yourself the king. And then you got other people to repeat it after so many years of you saying it. I guess he is the king. He's the king. No, where did that start from? You named yourself the king. That's self-proclaimed. And Naoya Inoue is not a self-proclaimed monster. He never liked the name monster. He never liked it, that name. But a monster he fought like, a monster he was. And listen, so David the Monster Benavidez named himself David the Monster Benavidez. He named himself that. Naoya Inoue never named himself the monster. They named him the monster. There's a difference. All right. So, when he got into this fight right here with Nonito Donaire, which was the last fight of the World Series of Boxing, he came into that fight. As you can see, he has a record now, 40-5, right? Now, Nonito Donaire is a 3-division world champion. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's going right into the Hall of Fame. And when we look at this, this Naoya Inoue was still fairly young in his career, having sparred Nonito Donaire on that side of the world, where Japanese and Filipino fighters is very common for them to fight. So they ran in the same circles together, Naoya Inoue and Nonito Donaire, and they knew the same kind of like people. They've sparred against similar people. Naoya Inoue is truly a student of the game, and he isn't afraid to tell you where he learned or picked up certain things. Case in point, when he fought Nonito Donaire, which I believed a lot of people were already trying to, just in case he lost, they were pointing out his age a lot during that fight. And you know how those are some of the signs that when they're trying to boost another guy, and just in case they're going to down talk this guy. Those are one of the signs you can tell when these guys already got who they got in mind to win those kind of fights. Case in point, right? Did anybody bring up Arthur Benitez, his age going into Demetrius Bivol fight when he's 39 years old? Did anybody, any of these YouTube channel go, he was an old man? Or did they say this was the best fight of the year coming up? What did they say? He was 3 years older than Nonito Donaire. Right? But you could see when they want to, but in fact, that fight against Nonito Donaire, that was probably one of the best Naoya Inoue fights I've ever seen. He's probably the best man to fight, to really stand and slug it out with Naoya Inoue, punch for punch. Yes, he did. Donito Donaire put up a masterclass performance. He really did. He was just in there with the best fighter in the world. That's all. When you lose or get in the ring with Naoya Inoue as he goes in his trajectory, if he stays undefeated and everything and he keeps doing what he's doing, when you look back at the men that fought him, Donito Donaire is going to say, it took the best fighter in the world to beat me on in my best. As far as Stephen Kubo Fulton, if he rides off into the sunset from here on in undefeated, it took the best fighter in the world to beat him. And that is, there's no shame in that. He is legitimately probably the best fighter of that we've ever seen in boxing. He could probably go down. He might end up in that conversation. He's not there yet. Naoya Inoue, you got to retire for that shit. We got to tally up in order to be in that conversation. So I'm not going to put the cart before the horse, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Naoya Inoue is in that conversation, but he should be in that conversation already. But it seems like the smaller guy got to do twice the work in order to get everybody's attention. It always seems like that, huh? But I'm telling you right now, if you keep letting this man do you're not gonna let him do anything. He's gonna take everything that he's earned. So let me clear that up. You ain't gave Naoya Inoue not one thing in the sport of boxing. He truly had to pay his own way. No gold medals, no huge boxing promoters in the beginning of his career. He signed with Top Rank, and Uncle Bob Arum has been taking care of him. They know what they got. They got a real one in this Japanese dude. And because of Bob Arum's track record with a lot of different fighters, and we've all known the bullshit with Top Rank, right? When they want to get a win, right? We know this shit, right? But don't get that confused with the remarkable talent that is Naoya Inoue. I think that they're taking some of Top Rank and Bob Arum's, close fights, right? And they're attaching it to Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue never asked for any of this shit. He never asked for Bob Arum's track record to be put on him and him to be labeled a hype job. That's how a lot of people fell asleep on him. Coming into a lot of these big major fights, he made title defenses. This fight against Desmarines, Jason Maloney. Those were, listen, this fight against Jason Maloney got knockout of the year. If you haven't seen this knockout, I suggest you go to YouTube and look it up. It's one of the greatest knockouts I've seen that entire year. It was one of the slickest I've seen in a long time. Now, I've seen some slick knockouts. That one right there was pretty freaking good. Desmarines, that he ripped Desmarines' soul right out of his body. Okay. That was just uh, when oh man, you can talk. I can sit here all day and talk about Naoya Inoue, the things he did. Once again, this was another fight that I thought that this fight was about, him showcasing his body work and stuff, but it was much more than that. The way he set that up. If you watch that fight, which that fight with Desmarines only goes 3 rounds, so there's not a lot to watch. So it'll be real short, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You ain't got to watch a 12-round fight to see what I'm talking about, right? In the opening seconds against that fight against Desmarines, he did one key thing. He hit Desmarines with a right check hook on the top of his forehead that really wobbled him. And the first exchange, but Desmarines wore it well. He took the punch, but that punch really hurt. He just had a good poker face, right? He hit him again on the top of the head. He kept throwing all his punches. He didn't throw, I think he like threw one, maybe, but it didn't land a body shot. He stood away from the body the entire first round like that. It wasn't nothing big, right? When he comes out the second and third round is when he unleashed that attack. It's what he did in the first round that made that open and possible for him. Desmarines felt that power so strong up here that his high guard was so high that he was going to make sure he blocked all shots coming upstairs. Naoya Inoue quickly made an adjustment. He changed levels and he brutalized his body. Then when he hit him with a vicious body shot that Desmarinas, his hands were down here. There was a point in the fight that he didn't know what to do. He was going, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know which way to block, right? But his warrior spirit didn't want him to check out. He had knew at that point he was outgunned and outmatched, but a warrior is always going to be a warrior. Okay, he's not just gonna say Desmarinas is not gonna say, "Oh man, I'm done." Nah, you're gonna have to finish him. He's gonna go out on his shield. Let me tell you something right now. Hats off to Desmarinas in that fight. I got to admit, most fighters, Ryan Garcia, most fighters with that first body shot, Naoya Inoue hit him with, would have quit in the fight. They would have rolled up in the fetal position in a ball. They would have never got up. Yo, Desmarinas got up time and time again. Yo, and the expression on his face, you could see him. He couldn't hide it when he went down. He was like, ah. But when he got back up, his face was he was like, and you knew his stomach was screaming. His liver was like, ah, right? Yo, it was fucking crazy, right? But that man, his warrior spirit, Desmarinas, his warrior spirit, got him off the ground. And I got to commend him for that shit, bro. Yo, that was real tough man shit right there. That was real. It's easy to look past it. Like, oh, he got hit by the body shot, he went down. No, he got up. And that wasn't just your typical body shot. No. As you can see, Naoya Inoue is probably one of the hardest hitting punchers that the welterweight division has ever seen. Ever. So those body shots weren't just your typical body shots. For him to get up like that, bro, that's why I give him a lot of respect. He's the type of man that, by definition, you're gonna have to detach him from his senses. At least that's what he showed on that night in that fight. He was he didn't want to check out, you know. But Naoya Inoue was a dominant force. Right here, he also goes on. He rematches Donito Donaire, 2022. He brutally knocked out Donaire in the second round. By that time, he had faced Donaire. I think Nonito Donaire is actually the only opponent he refaced and relived it. And the only reason why he fought Donito Donaire again, now check it out. Nonito Donaire broke his orbital bone in the first fight, right? He fractured his orbital bone in the second round. Naoya Inoue went 10 more rounds with a fractured orbital bone. Real tough man shit, right? When he fought him the second time, what makes it so impressive is this is the guy that fractured your orbital bone. He was this close from beating you. That was one of the most competitive fights I've ever seen Naoya Inoue in, where that Donito Donaire was winning a round, he won a round, like that. It was a really competitive fight. But by the time he had rematched him again, the reason why he got to rematch him again is because Nonito Donaire went and got the WBC World Championship. He had something Naoya Inoue needed. If Naoya Inoue would plan to unify all the belts, well, he needed that WBC World Championship that Nonito Donaire just acquired. Now, mind you, they said Nonito Donaire was too old the first time they fought. Really? That he was not the same fighter, that he's not the same fighter he used to be. Really? No, so Donito Donaire wasn't a better version of himself when he came and he fought against Naoya Inoue. That's full of shit. Because after he lost to Naoya Inoue the first time, he was still so good, in fact, that he went and fought the French undefeated fighter, the young champion, undefeated champion, and knocked him out to get that WBC world title, to get in position to fight Naoya Inoue the second time. Right? So what do you mean? He wasn't good enough. Look. This is Nonito Donaire, right? Look at this man's record. He got eight losses, but this isn't current. That's not what he came into the fight with. Naoya Inoue. We'll look at that right up right now. This man fought everybody, bro. That's why he's going to Hall of Fame. Look at all these belts. When you go down, you can see all the belts. And it would be even more impressive if the WBA titles were actually being acknowledged. This would probably be more impressive. He's had multiple belts. Look at, he fought Omar Narvaez as well, which I told you that he went the 12-round distance with him. Yeah. So but let's see right here. When did he come into contact? Because I want to show you something. I want to show you something. And these are the lies that they try to tell you, because they're pushing their fighter, right? Okay, check it out. This is the first time, these freaking pop-ups. This is the first time he fought Naoya Inoue, Nonito Donaire, that he lost to him, right? He went, notice right here, right? Unanimous decision. He went 12 rounds with him, right? After this loss, that's when they try to say he was old. Oh, he beat Nonito Donaire, but he's an old fighter. He was 36 years old. He's nowhere near the fighter he once was. Really? Nonito Donaire is not the fighter he once was. Okay. Right here. My man coming into the Nonito. No, that's not him. That's not him. That is not him. Hold up. Okay, hold on. That is not him. These freaking pop-ups, bro, they messing me up. It was this guy. Okay, he lost to him. It was the very next fight. He was 17-0. He's right here. This is him. Wow, he fought him the very next fight? I thought it was like 2 fights or 1 fight. He loses to Naoya Inoue, which was 18-0 coming into their fight. The very next fight. Wow, yeah. That's him. When he fought, he got 2 losses. He's been knocked out 1 time. He got knocked out by Nonito Donaire. That's the only the knockout that he got. That's who knocked him out. What the? Oh, it's got to keep going down. Yeah, there we go. It's these damn pop-ups. Right here. Okay. So, Nonito Donaire came into their fight 40-6. His record was 40-6 when he came into the fight against the Frenchman. The Frenchman was undefeated at the time. You saw it. He was 17-0. He was undefeated. He came into that fight. He was in his 20s. Right? Nonito Donaire came into that fight 36, 37 years old, I can imagine. Right? And knocks him out in 4 rounds. He had him badly hurt in the 3rd round. The fight should have been stopped. Well, he destroyed him. Yeah, basically. So, what do you mean that Nonito Donaire, right, was old, washed up, that he was no good? Oh, really? After losing to Naoya Inoue, he was good enough to win a world title and beat an undefeated fighter? Really? That's what you're trying to tell us, right? He was good enough to still win a world title. Yo, if you let these guys tell you these things, they're gonna dress it up good, and they're not gonna want to give Naoya Inoue his credit. They're gonna try to discredit all his accomplishments, and they're gonna try to say this guy wasn't that good, this guy was too old. Bullshit. These were the top guys that weight division had to offer. And it's proof that look, right here, Naoya Inoue, once he beat him, he had 3 of the world championships. He only needed 1 Infinity Stone. And the last man to have the last world title was this gentleman right here, Paul Butler. Paul Butler stepped up to the plate. I got to honestly commend Paul Butler for that. That was a situation where Paul Butler took the money and wanted a dare to be great at the same time. He recognized, this is it. This is my World Series. This is my Super Bowl. It's now or never, right? But What he did, in fact, was bring Naoya Inoue the last piece he needed for his reign. He actually brought it to him. Naoya Inoue didn't have to chase Paul Butler down. Paul Butler, and remind you guys that no champion is obligated to fight the other champion. Once you're a world champion, your only obligation and your only mandatories come from the organization of the belt ranking system that you're fighting for. For instance, if you're fighting for the WBA, you got to fight the number one WBA contender. You don't have to fight the WBC number one contender if he's not registered and paying sanctioning fees to the WBA's organization to be in their ranking system. Are you following me? Right? Okay. So the champion's only obligation is to the guys in his ranking system. He technically does not have to fight the champion. He can play keep away at this point. He doesn't have to fight Naoya Inoue at all. What entices a champion to fight you is an offer you can't refuse. It's probably going to be you're probably going to get paid the most money you've ever made, but you also stand to have an opportunity of winning all four belts as well. So Paul Butler, being the fighter and the warrior that he is, he said, you know what? I'm going to take the money, but I'm also going to dare to be great. I got to admit, though, from the first round, Paul Butler soon looked like all he was trying to do was survive in the ring. Naoya Inoue he kept the right distance. He shut Paul Butler down. He literally turned him into a punching bag. For real talk, right? So I think that Paul Butler, I commend him on the move. It was a risky move. He knew he was outgunned. Paul Butler didn't win 1 second of those 11 rounds that he took that beating. Yeah, he really didn't. What's it say here? Hey, buddy, I noticed that you have not um all right, I'll check you out on that. I will check you out on that. We will talk. I'll go to Discord later and we'll talk about that, all right? That's what's up. Yeah, I'm streaming on Kick now too, but I just started, on my platform. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. So, this right that was a ballsy move by Paul Butler. But listen, if it had not been for men like that, Naoya Inoue really doesn't have a strong case for beating the best fighter in the world. You have to win these kind of fights. For instance, this fight right here with Naoya Inoue, which was his next fight, I want to talk about something very impressive that I don't think a lot of people on YouTube talk about. I've never heard anybody talk about this, right? Um, from the moment he beat Paul Butler, that was probably Naoya Inoue's first like biggest career moment. It had to be. He had all four belts at the 118. At the beginning of his career, 19 years old. Would you have thought? You could have dreamed it, yes, but would you have thought you would have made it your reality? And once he made that his reality, he legitimately looked at all belts. The moment he got them, he looked at them, all four belts, he had them in his hand. He said, I want more. This is not enough. And he vacated all four belts 30 days after he won them. Now, I want you to think about this. Terrence Crawford, he held those belts at 147 hostage. The entire year he didn't fight until he probably got into the ring with Ismail at 154. You know what people at 147 were doing? Nothing. Because the belts were sitting on a shelf collecting dust. Because Terrence Crawford didn't want to vacate them. All these fighters have done that. Devin Haney, what did he do when he moved up to 140? He held that division up until almost the day or the week of he walked in the ring with Regis Progress. Naoya Inoue vacated all those belts 30 days, not knowing if he was ever going to be world champion again, right? But he had an ace up his sleeve. He owned the WBO World Championship, right? Okay. And since he owned the WBO Championship, it made the existing champion, Stephen Kubo Fulton, his mandatory. And that was his entrance. He vacates all the belts in confidence. I know his manager and all the people were bugging. They were like, yo, Naoya Inoue, you know you don't have to vacate all four of your belts. You can keep those belts. If you lose against Stephen Kubo Fulton, you can come back down and you'll still have all four belts. Naoya Inoue looked at him and said, there is no losing. There is no coming back down. And I'm not holding up anybody's future plans to becoming world champion because I know what that's like. So you know what? I have no intentions at fighting at 118 ever again. So why don't you, I'm going to vacate all four of these belts and let some of these men achieve their dream of becoming world champion. And I'm going to go in this direction. And not only am I going to go in this direction, I'm going to beat Stephen Kubo Fulton. And they said, Naoya Inoue, Stephen Kubo Fulton is the best 122-pound champion of the world. He's undefeated and he's a unified world champion. He has 2 belts. He ain't never lost. And you ain't never fought a black African American fighter. The slick American style. But they didn't know he actually did. Like he fought fighters like Emmanuel Rodriguez that got that slick style, American style behind him too. And many other fighters. But that was what they were trying to feed you. Was it not? They were trying to feed you that Naoya Inoue was the biggest hype job in the world coming into the fight against Stephen Kubo Fulton. And in which coming into that fight, if you see some of my videos of the past, they had me a little second doubting myself, but not at one point did I ever feel that Stephen Kubo Fulton was going to beat Naoya Inoue. I was nervous, like always in a fight, but I was like still on the side. I even snapped in one video and I told the world that, you want to know what this fight really is? It's really a 70-30 fight. That's what I said. I got receipts. You can go call me out on it. You'll see the video. You'll see me over there. And I was pissed because they kept dogging the Japanese dude. And I was like, and then Stephen Kubo Fulton said he had loaded hand wraps. Remember, he was making these accusations. And then all of a sudden, the steroid testing in their fight, that story that broke when they went to Naoya Inoue's house at like 3 in the fucking morning, knocking on his door, waking up his kids, right? Saying, we want urine and blood. Naoya Inoue's like, bro, I just trained all day. For 6-8 hours, I trained all day. I came home, helped my wife out with the kids. I'm going to sleep in preparation for one of the biggest fights in my life, right? And you fuckers come to my door at 3 in the morning and wake me up? Don't you know I got to be back in the gym in 4 hours? I ain't going to get no sleep. So he was pissed. And he said a statement. And all of a sudden, now the guy's on drugs. You see how they kept trying to like bash him. Anybody, any human is going to complain when you come to my door, knocking on my and waking up my freaking kids. And not to mention, at the time, Naoya Inoue's kids were infants. You probably just got that baby to bed and these fuckers wake them up. Oh my, man, listen, I would have fucking said something the next day in the news too. But yet they try to spin it and now make it look like he was on drugs. I mean, it's absurd. All the lies and all the things they've tried to discredit Naoya Inoue. Right? So, the fight begins out there in Japan. Stephen Kubo Fulton goes out there, the most confidence he's ever been. He's like, man, I don't see this guy moving up in weight. Mind you, he was a 118-pounder. Stephen Kubo Fulton was a 122-pound weight division champion. Much bigger fighter. He's the one moving up. You mean to tell me he fought no tune-up fight to get to me? And this crazy Japanese guy went and decided to fight the champion right away. Who does that? Who does that? Usually fighters fight fights to get acclimated to the division. As you can see, David the Monster Benavidez went up to 175, and he really didn't look the greatest like he did at 168, did he? Neither did David Morale. Why? Just moving up one weight division and learning how to fight in that new weight can be difficult for a lot of fighters. And they can find the other guy's punches to be a little bit more heavier because they weren't used to fighting guys that size. You know, you can spar with guys, bigger guys. You can walk around at a heavier weight. But let's be honest, people. When we're sparring in the gym, we got headgear and 16-ounce gloves on. You're barely feeling those punches. You know, you know, if you can crack, you can crack, right? But it's not the full velocity of those punches, is what I'm saying. So Stephen Kubo, Fulton, Naoya, Inoue, they go into their matchup, and boy, I gotta tell you, Stephen Kubo Fulton got shut down. He didn't win a single round out of the 7 rounds, bro. It was like, and then he got knocked out in the 8th round, right? But leading into the 8th round, all 7 of those rounds, it was like he got wiped out. Now, I didn't count the 8th round because he gets knocked out. He didn't make it out of the 8th, right? And that's where he got stopped, in the 8th round. But this was supposed to be his biggest challenge. This was supposed to be his biggest threat to Naoya Inoue's hype job career, protected by Top Rank, hand wrap, no power having Naoya Inoue. They should have paid attention to his amateur career when trainers back then were checking his gloves for how hard he hit. And he was knocking out amateur boxers with huge gloves on. He's been this powerful his entire career. Ask Nonito Donaire, ask Payano, ask Emmanuel Rodriguez, right? But all of a sudden, he's got loaded hand wraps. And that through an entire boxing career, fighting all those world title fights leading into that fight, no one ever caught it. When after every fight, and if you want, you can go back to that Stephen Kubo Fulton fight. As soon as the fight is over, you notice when they take off the boxer's gloves and they start cutting the hand wraps off. You know why they do that in the beginning? Because that's one process you can avoid from having to go through in the back locker room. Because in the back locker room, after the fight is over, there's another process when the fight is over. You're going to have to give urine and blood. And you can't disappear from the boxing association's guy that's behind you that is looking for the urine and the blood, you know? Okay, so when they're cutting your gloves on, right, off at the end of the fight, there's a guy right here that you got to give him your hand wraps. There's an official right there. They cut those off and you hand them over with your boxing gloves to the officials after every match, because of people that did do loaded hand wraps. That situations in boxing, that's why these laws were put in place. So after the fight, they cut his hand wraps off and he has to turn them in. Okay? Because if they find any foul play, criminal charges will be applied to you. You'll find your ass in court. And they probably should put your ass in jail. Trying to give somebody brain damage or something, ruin a person's life. That's I don't play. You get no mercy from me if they catch you doing some shit like that in sport of boxing. You can kill someone's kid. Okay, so after he fights Stephen Kubo Fulton, I want to pay attention to this. Right, he fights Stephen Kubo Fulton. He wins 2 of the belts at 122 pounds. He wins 2 of them. 6 months later, look at the date, people. Look at the dates. 2023, 7/25, right? That's July 25th, right? He fought Stephen Kubo Fulton. He fought Marlon Tapales in December 26, a day after Christmas. That's 6 months apart, people. Within 6 months, he had obtained all four belts at 122 pounds. It took him 6 months to unify all four belts. That's got to be a boxing record. The only thing that can beat that is that, like, when Taylor fought Bernard Hopkins and he beat him on that one night for all four belts. That's the only thing that can beat that. But that's not prestigious enough. You only fought one guy. To unify all four belts in 6 months, that's got to be impressive, man. It took Terrence Crawford 6.5 years to unify his second weight division, but that had to do a lot with Errol Spence Jr. and him coming back. We know the story, but it took him a long time to do so, and it took him 2.5 years to get all the belts at 118, Naoya Inoue, but it only took him 6 months the second time he did it. Okay. And he fought Marlon Tapales, in which he stopped Marlon Tapales in the 10th round by a TKO, a knockout stoppage. Many people thought that the finishing shots, were partially blocked by Marlon Tapales' guard, in which one of them was, and that goes to speak to how hard Naoya Inoue punches. That he punched right through Marlon Tapales' glove and his brain was still rattling. The punch was so strong he couldn't. He had to stop. And did you see him trying to make the decision whether or not he was going to give it up? And he stumbled backwards, and everybody was like, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa!" And his corner immediately came in. They saw he was done. Marlon Tapales has never been stopped like that in his career. Neither did Stephen Kubo Fulton. That was the first time Stephen Kubo Fulton ever got knocked out in his career. He brutally knocked out Stephen Kubo Fulton, which was a very confident fighter coming into that fight. And then he stopped Marlon Tapales to unify all four belts in his second weight division. By that time, he had unified all four belts in two separate weight divisions, and he was the second man in history to do it, following the one and only Terrence Crawford, which did it first. Okay, so then after that fight, now listen, let's pay attention to what we were just talking about. Stephen Kubo Fulton coming off a weight division jump. We got to pay attention to the little things. He moved up from 118. He went up to 122. No tune-up fight. Challenged the champion right away. After he did that, he challenged another unified world champion in Marlon Tapales that had the two. So he fought two unified world champions back to back, coming into a new weight division at 122. After he fights Marlon Tapales, you would think that the Naoya Inoue train would have shifted down. Slow down, kid. You just got these. Why don't we take, a little bit lesser fight so that, and then you could take another big fight. Naoya, no. Then who are you going to fight? The number one WBC mandatory contender and Luis Pantera Nari. I'll take him first. And because we knew the history with Luis Pantera Nari, where that he upsetted Japan and he was in fact banned from the country for life for coming in 5 pounds overweight against the former Japanese champion, right? The first time he tested positive for PEs, but that's not what he got banned for. He got banned for life for the 5 pounds. That's when they said, no, you can no longer fight out here. You don't respect our rules, our culture. You don't, and you didn't show any sympathy for what you did coming in 5 pounds. We don't ever want to see you in Japan again. And that's big. That takes a lot away from your money, because for the guys at that lower weight division, Japan is Las Vegas, so to speak. Japan is Madison Square Garden. That's where in Japan is where you're having some of the biggest bantamweight championship fights, and you'll make the most money out in Japan. So by cutting Luis Pantera off from Japan to be able to fight out there, that takes a lot of money out of his potential fights. He's going to have to get these guys to come over here or fight over there, or it's just tougher. It's better to fight in Japan. You'll make more money, bro. Believe me, you will. So by Naoya Inoue and his father Shingo going and petitioning to the Japan Council and asking them to lift the ban off Luis Pantera Nari so that they can, fight. That fight was going to be so big in so many different ways that the Japan people noticed it, that they reopened and considered to show another fight at the Tokyo Arena, which that arena has not been occupied by a boxing match since Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas, right? So that was 25 years ago. They approve it, and not only did they approve the fight, they approved it in a venue that big. Now, typically, some boxers, some. Now, like for example, Liam Paro and Richard Hitchison are fighting in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the venue that they're fighting in, maximum capacity is probably 10,000 people. That's all the building will fill. It's a small arena because they're saying that you're not going to sell that many tickets like that. 10,000 is enough, but you're not going to get to that real big, plateau where Naoya Inoue sold roughly around 50 to 55,000 tickets. 50,000 people filled into that Tokyo Arena to see that fight. Yo, these guys have never seen anything like that. They've never fought on a world stage like that. So the things that he's doing and also helping out the rest of the guys with everything that he does, now that's giving the rest of the Japanese fighters and also bantamweight fighters, look, if he can make all this money and he can bring these eyes, all the attention he brought there, I can guarantee you that the reason why some of these fighters or some of the other fighters like Junto Nakatoni and Bam Bam Rodriguez is because of the attention that Naoya Inoue has been given to those divisions throughout the courses of years. Throughout the courses of him knocking all these guys out, and we were tuning into there, that we stumbled upon some real good fighters. And I believe truly that to be the case. Because Bam Rodriguez and Junto Nakatoni would have just been fast speed, bantamweight guys knocking out dudes just like it always was. It's exactly what Naoya Inoue is doing. And a lot of people, real fight fans, are really acknowledging what he's doing. Now, these upper guys at the 130, 135, and those champions and those guys will try to discredit him. And they will, and there's guys that they might not know they do it, or they do it intentionally. But just because they're bigger stature of men, they really don't respect little guys. In a sense, in their head, they think, oh, I could beat him. He's just too small for me. Whether I'm more skilled than him or not, size does matter. Tyson Fury will probably hurt Naoya Inoue, but Naoya Inoue is a way more skilled fighter, and we all know that. At some point, size does matter. You see? So sometimes some of these guys don't acknowledge these little guys because they're so much into themselves. And no fighter wants to, and when you interview a fighter, a boxer, and how disrespectful or how should that fighter feel when basically 85 of the percent of the interview, they're talking about another fighter and your opinion about another fighter. They're not even talking about you. What do you think that's going to do to that fighter inside? He's going to start talking trash about that fighter you're asking him about, whether he liked them or not. Because, bro, I'm here. Ask me questions about me. When they see Bam Bam Rodriguez and Junto Nakatoni, what do they ask them? Where does the interview end up? With Naoya Inoue's name, and they're asking them what they think about him. They're no longer talking about, and they're great fighters, bro. Look how much, how much weight he's holding right now, Naoya Inoue. And I'm trying to tell you right now, December 24th, that's my Christmas gift to myself. I will be getting up once again, like I always do, to watch a Naoya Inoue fight. It's probably going to be like on a Tuesday or a Monday because I can almost guarantee that. I don't even got to check it. I'll check it, as we get closer. But I could probably guarantee that because that's when he fights. I don't know if that's a Japan thing, a time frame thing, where that okay, it would be Tuesday over here, but Monday over there. So if it's Sunday over there, it's Monday morning here, something like that, right? So it's actually not the same day over there. You see, with the time schedule, because by the time it's 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night over there, or 5 o'clock or 6 in the afternoon, it is almost midnight over here. See, so the time is a little off, but his fights will typically be around 7 o'clock in the morning, roughly around in that time period. I've seen one of his fights up to like 9 o'clock in the morning. So, but they are early. But we wake up early for a whole bunch of shit in life anyway. I would love to wake up early and see a great fight. The only thing with that is once the fight is over in the morning time, it's kind of like we're all hopped up on boxing. At least I am. And I'm like, right? I can't go back to sleep. And it kind of throws my day off because now I don't have any more boxing to look forward to. It just happens too early in the day. But I'm getting used to that. And I always love to see Naoya Inoue back in action. I love to see his activity. Just like Sam Goodman, Sam Goodman's activity. I talked about it because that's what I like. I like to see these fighters active. I want to see a competitive fight. I don't want to hear those fucking excuse fights where it's like, okay, he took the fight, but he's coming off a year layoff. You didn't beat the best version of him. Man, come on, man. There's always something. And like with these two fighters, at least both of them were active. There's no excuses. They ain't gonna be none of that shit. You got one guy after another guy. Let's go. And Sam Goodman deserves this fight. He is the number one in two sanctioning bodies, WBO and IBF, right? Okay. So he deserves this fight. There's people that are mandatories to other people's belts, and we're getting all this fucking let's call it what it is, bullshit. Okay. Is Steven William Cepeda fighting Shakur Stevenson? Is he? How many times have they scheduled that? And how many times Cepeda came up with an excuse every time it comes to fight a champion? What's going on with Teofimo Lopez that every time that a worthy contender comes up, he says, oh, that guy's no good. He's not on my level. That's how he tries to get around the person by discrediting his. With Naoya Inoue, it's cut and dry. It's very simple to do business with him. Is he the number one contender? Yes, I'll take him. How much simpler can you get? The number one guy is shaking under his bed. He ain't answering his phone. Well, then call the number two. If he doesn't want to, then call the number three. I just wish that Naoya Inoue was a little bit more like, like his team. They would put some of these guys out there and let the world know Naoya Inoue and his team, we sent them contracts. They sent us back the entire fax machine that the contract came out. They didn't even want the fax machine in their office anymore. They never seen that fax, they're going to say. The entire fax machine and the thing that the fax machine is sitting on in the office, they mailed that back to Naoya Inoue. Yo, they don't want that. And I wish that Naoya Inoue would but he's so respectful in his team. And, he's not here for a show. He's not here to get clicks, views, or likes. He's here to knock people out. He's in the hurt business. And he's going to be one of the most accomplished champions boxing has ever seen when it's all said and done. Hopefully, if he stays on this trajectory. We all know sometimes boxers don't retire well. And some of these legends end up hurting their career, right? So we really got to see how Naoya Inoue ends his career, okay? and what he does from here. You know, the Saudi prince coming in, Riyadh season. It looks like they're showing interest in a Naoya Inoue fight. Bob Arum has hinted. I mean, CEO, I'm a COO, right? Of Top Rank was rumored. I saw this on I think it was on X, formerly known as Twitter. Was it X or Instagram? It was one of those platforms, right? I don't want to get it mixed up and I don't want to mislead you. And you're over here on X looking for it, and it was on Instagram that I saw it. So, but he was rumored to be trying to occupy the Tokyo arena again. And when it was asked what names he was trying to occupy it for, he said Junto Nagatoni versus Naoya Inoue. Now, whether or not I heard that correctly, whether he was saying, no, I keep going over it in my head. He said Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nagatoni. Not that they would be on the same card. Because and then I kind of thought, well, is he going to be the co-main event and Naoya Inoue is fighting someone else? Because they're not in the same weight division. You know, Junto would have to jump up one weight division, right? And that he expressed that he wants to unify in his last interviews, that he was going to stay at 118 and try to unify, but he sees that the champions are avoiding him. So when Top Rank COO came out and said that, I was like, sometimes in translation, when you're like breaking down, uh, when you're like trying to break down the English language, sometimes things can get a little mixed up. And I know that because I know that when sometimes people try to explain Spanish and when we talk, it actually comes out backwards, but it makes perfect sense. And in the Latin language, anyway, my language, anyway, when we say things and you explain it in America, the American language, it's sometimes backwards. It's pronounced backwards. So, when they talk in Japanese, and I'm watching some of these Japanese reports, and I got the caption words, and my caption is doing the best it can. Sometimes it says crazy stuff. It'll be like, yeah, I want to fight Crazy Horse's broom's aunt and something. And I'll be like, yeah, no, that's not what it said. Right. And you kind of got to figure out or try to like fill in what he was trying to say. But this typed away just like that. It was just like, brr, 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 and it looked like he said Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nagatoni, right? So I was like, wow, okay. Don't hold me on that. You guys know how boxing is. They'll say things, and sometimes shit don't turn out the way it is. And we as reporters, trying to always cover the top stories and say things, we can fall in a trap, in a pitfall, and our credibility as men or women reporting boxing can be challenged by ignorant people. We can say a mistake, or I've been known to go on and not say the correct name or the correct thing, but I quickly rebound from that. You don't stay in the debate, not in this game. You can lose a debate, win a debate, say something wrong, but what major sports analysts show that you can see that they've said things wrong in a live football game, right? And we're not perfect, and I'm not perfect, but I continue to do the next show, right? And I come up here and I turn on this camera and this microphone and I show my face and I stand up to the plate and I at least try to break it down with you guys to see what's going on in these situations. And I really believe that Naoya Inoue by far has not been getting his flowers through some of the biggest boxing channels. They're American boxing channels, so I get it. They're gonna promote their fighters, okay? And I have been trying to do the same, but I will acknowledge the world's best fighter in the world. I would have to. I would be biased if I didn't really point out the accomplishments that Naoya Inoue has accomplished. The truth be told, um, He's doing remarkable shit. So fight fans, I anticipate on going on tonight at 8:30. Tune in with me. If you have any comments, please like this video. Help me push these videos out. Comment in the comment section, share the videos, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click that bell notification. Oh, and I have one more thing for everybody else that stayed in the channel and's been with me for this long right here. I want to show you what we got for the next fight that we're going to put up, the Notre Dame's World Championship here at Round 1 Sports Talk, where anyone can come up and you have to guess the round and the fighter to prove that you know you're Notre Dame. Like I knew it was the third round, right? So for that, I'm gonna have a giveaway for that for everybody that enters and everything. So I said I was gonna make a t-shirt for this. So I'm trying to do one better than that. Let me show you. Okay. Now, I'm trying to figure out a way either to put the Round 1 Sports Talk emblem or the Notre Dame. I was talking with Bam about this and yesterday, and I've been trying to get other ideas. But the first idea was I don't want a shirt. It's getting cold, so we're giving out a sweater, a brand new red sweater. And I've already put the words Round 1 Sports Talk on the collar. So when you wear the sweater, it's dope. It's going to be Round 1 Sports Talk right here on your collar. Looks pretty cool. Well, it would be like that, right? Bam. You see? So I want to put on the Notre Dame, but Ben wanted me to put it on the back. On the back. And I was going to either put it on the sleeve or maybe like right here or put the Round 1 Sports Talk symbol. So, like I said, I'm working on trying to get the patterns done. I got everything. I'm doing everything here by myself. Um, so me and Ben, we're going about it. And if I have to, I didn't want to force it, but I want this sweater to be done for the next one. And Armando, I got you, my dude, my dog. All right, I promise you. Listen, I gotta hook you up with something else. I might make some stickers, yo. Or after this sweater, I'm not gonna do a sweater for every Notre Dame event, obviously, right? I don't think I can afford that, right? For everyone. So maybe I can get like keychains or stickers or something that says on Round 1 Sports Talk, you were a Notre Dame's world champion, you know. I will always honor you here with the belt. Bam Bam wanted me to go out and buy a belt for everyone and sit down. Are you crazy? I can't do that, right? So, but I want this to be the official first, Notre Dame's, and so when we can look back 10 years from now, whoever still has this sweater, it might be worth some money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen, fight fans, you guys have been amazing. Thank you for sticking around with me and hearing me break down this fight. I love to talk about boxing and I love to learn about boxing. I don't claim to know it all. I'm learning in this sport just like I'm trying to learn more about the cruiserweight division. I really don't know anything about that division and things like that. And I always strive to get better, So to everybody that was tuning in and stayed and watched Round 1 Sports Talk, thank you. I had an amazing show, and we're trying to do big things here at Round 1 Sports Talk. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Like always, people, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round 1 Sports Talk. And if you want to join me tonight and get in the live chat, I'm going to put out the link, and you guys can join me if you want to talk about anything. Meet me at 8:30 tonight, and I'm going to be dropping the link, and anyone can come in and we can talk about